You're watching the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Well, let's try again. Take 3. Apparently, Hamby is killing the system today. Just blaming Hamby, left and right. We're rocking and rolling on this show. Try to throw a picture up there and just crash the system. Maybe upgrade from Windows 7.
No more pictures for the rest of the
day. It's totally just the pictures. You throw the picture up and it crashed the system?
Yep.
I think you probably went to, did you do that Hike, HEIC thing?
I tried to download it and make it into a PNG.
We'll have to ask Sesnick. We have to figure this out.
But our data was out, so I couldn't even do that.
Wow.
We exceeded the limit.
Wow, how about that? You guys check this stuff before our show? Like, if it happens in the Young and Norvell show, it's fine. Not on this show. Let's go. Amby strikes again. William, you're right.
Thanks,
appreciate you guys coming back. Anyway, Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby. Now Austin's going to try to mess around with his phone, go sideways and all this stuff. Oh, my gosh. What are we doing here today on this show? What have we done? We were cruising.
We were
having a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. What a mess. What a mess we are. All right, let's talk about Daniel Griffiths' latest article. Do you think we're going to be able to do this? Well, you don't have to put the image up. We can still talk about the article.
That's fine.
You can't put anything on the screen.
Not any pictures.
Well, let's go back to the radio station. I'm going to go walk over to ESPN 690. We'll just go back and do that.
Well, I don't think I'm really welcome over there. Hey, Brent, I'm just saying Christian Kirk was let go for less. That's all I'm going to say. You probably want. We can't even do pictures anymore. We're trying to brag out. We're on the road 24/7.
Yeah,
we got all these capabilities. Oh, but a JPEG? Nah, we're all good.
Takes just a minute of bragging to get humbled.
Oh, and
that's all it takes.
By the way, I'm creating a scene in this waiting room right now because you have to keep in mind, I'm. Even though you guys can't see me for half the time, I'm witnessing what's happening, and I'm feeling the frustration, and that frustration is bubbling over into this waiting room. So people are starting to murmur in here. Is all I'm going to say.
We look like a radio station trying to do TV right now. That's what we look like.
Yeah. Just go back to the old moniker. We're just trying to make it, Brent.
Just trying to make it. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, and he just came in here. He crouched down, texted something on his phone. I don't even know what it means. He texted me. He's now not even in there. We're without a captain. And that, believe me, I use the word captain loosely when I'm talking about Hamby here. All right?
Skipper.
But we're without a skipper. He liked to be called Skipper. He's a baseball guy. Maybe we just start calling him Skipper now. Right now, he's skipped out. So what mean, true Seminoles? What are you talking about?
What? Oh, so what's this mean? Oh, I think he's just wondering, what's going on with the show, man? What does this all mean?
I don't know. It just means the computer crashed. Sometimes it crashes. We can't help it. We don't know why.
But I don't understand how it's crashing when you bring up a picture, but I'm in the middle of central Wisconsin.
Really doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, just something the computer didn't like something.
Sounds like some excuses to me, Brent, but I didn't say that. Sounds like we're trying to cover up for something here. Sounds like we wouldn't understand, so stop asking the question, Brent Martineau. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Meanwhile, I've got to say, because we've missed now 2 commercial breaks, I should give a shout out to CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, Nimnik Buick GMC, String Sports Brewery.
Down for us, Brent. You know what I'm saying?
We are true radio today. AI is trying to push back. You bet. We had all these great pictures ready to show, too. We got a graphic from Daniel Griffiths. You can check out his latest on actionsportsjacks.com. And we visit his topic of the day each and every week. And we can do that, by the way, without the picture. But the Daniel Griffiths topic today, I actually have the picture, has to do with positional value and how it's evolving. So
Okay.
Last week, the NFL announced its salary cap for the 25 NFL season, Daniel says, just over $279 million, which is bumped up, of course. The only time it ever bumped down was during the pandemic, if you remember.
Did it do, Brent? Did it do? What about during the lockout as well? Like when that 1 year? I mean,
well, he does bring up in his article since 2011, the average salary for a top 10 QB has risen from $14.6 million to $53 million, and so that would have been right around that time, right?
Correct.
So that's really where the escalation of prices started. Did you just hear what I said, though? Like, we've done this before. Like, who was the highest paid quarterback back in, like, 2011 or 10 or something? And I think Sam Bradford at one time was. I really believe Sam Bradford might have been on that list.
Okay.
But Daniel writes $14.6 million to $53 million for a top 10 QB in 14 years.
That's some egg inflation right there.
Yeah. I've had a 2.5% raise here at the station since then.
You're getting paid?
Our business is not like the NFL.
Oh, okay.
Our business is not like the NFL. What? Hammy just fist pumped because he got a graphic on the screen. Who knows if we're about to blow up the show again?
Hey, all I'm going to say is this, guys. It's not like we have mock weeks away where we kind of have to have some pictures, I feel like, to make it work. So I'm not trying to light a fire in anybody's you know what, but I'm just saying in a couple of weeks when we start Shock Your Mock, we'll have the song and everything. We're probably going to need some pictures, and we're probably going to need it to run smoothly.
Oh, I know what this is going to be. This is going to just cost me money and be like, hey, Brent, if you put your credit card in here, we can get this a little bit more for a few $100, and then we won't have this problem. Yeah, this is going to cost Brent money at the end of the day. Oh, Bam Bam Promotions is going to get charged at the end of the day on this
money,
one.
Brent.
Yeah, and I'll probably do it. So anyway, here's the top 10 average salary by position over these 14 years. It's incredible. Look at these numbers. I mean, do we live in a world? Obviously, inflation. You're right. Eggs have really gone up. Has anything else, seriously, in our world, gone up to this degree? Have like NBA salaries gone up to this degree? Because they're crazy too. Like you could average 4 points a game and you're getting like $14 million a year. Like it's nuts.
For sure.
But I mean, can you think of anything that has really gone up to
YouTube TV?
Yes, YouTube TV has gone up quite a bit. But why? Why, Austin? Like you played in this game. You were playing this era where it was starting to go up, actually, but nothing like recently. Is this totally the NFLPA winning? Is it winning stuff like the lockout? Is it just owners realizing we got to give these guys more piece of the pie? Is it part like the CTE stuff where, hey, we've got to pay guys because they're really putting their bodies at risk, for their entire life? Why? Yeah. Is it just the boon of the NFL? Has it grown that much to get these kind of price increases?
So listen, when I went through that lockout, when I didn't get my player performance bonus, that was back in 2011. And while the landscape has definitely changed, the athlete has definitely changed, I feel like some of the principles and some of the philosophies have stayed the same. And that fundamental philosophy, that fundamental principle, when we go through another CBA and another maybe a lockout, we'll see how it goes. I think it hasn't changed at all. And the fact of the matter is that the NFL is the biggest game in this country, and we're aware of how much money that it makes. And as you keep on growing this brand, as you keep on going to different countries like Brazil and Germany and all around the world, that's only going to give you more and more money total. And when you do that, players and the players union and the president of the players union, everyone's going to talk, and they're going to go, this is the pie right now, what the NFL is making. We're putting our bodies on the line. They're giving us more games, right? So there's more chances to get hurt and everything. And yeah, they've done their part, right? They've legalized marijuana now for recovery purposes. They've made it a shortened preseason. They've taken away the real two-a-days. So yes, the NFL has also done their part as well. But what it comes down to is the pie. And as the pie gets bigger, the player is going to want more money. So I think that's simply what it is, Brent. Every single year, the NFL makes more and more money. No matter how many people say, oh, I'm going to sit this year out because, protesting and all. Nah. The NFL's never been bigger. It's never garnered more money. And when you talk about that, you got to talk about sharing that pie with your employees and the guys that really make the NFL what it is. And that's the players. And that's the direct correlation, I feel like, from this inflation.
Okay, so from a team standpoint, James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli walk into this thing. We've heard, even under Balky and Peterson, Shad Khan say last June, he said, hey, we've got to start drafting people and stop spending money in free agency. That's not the way to do it, right? And
Sure.
So we were going to see that shift philosophically, it looked like, from the owner. And but it's not like he's afraid to spend money. He has absolutely spent money. So it doesn't come from like this, I'm going to be cheap perspective. It just comes from that's not the way to sustain. You can't continue to try to go there. You can supplement with free agency, but you don't want to lean on free agency to the degree the Jags have had to do.
Correct. But at the same time, and I get this narrative because I agree with this line of thinking. But at the same time, if you're Gladstone, and maybe he wasn't there, but they won a Super Bowl doing the exact opposite thing. So
They did. But I don't. But even now they flipped it, right, to be able to kind of sustain. They knew they weren't going to sustain that. They knew they were going to have to rip that down eventually. But they went all in. And maybe there would be a time where the Jags in 5 years go all in and do something similar because they're ready to do that. But sustained success usually won't come from that way. So the point is here, how much are they going to spend? I don't think the Jags are big spenders this free agency. I really don't feel like that. Now, that was prior to these guys getting hired and James Gladstone coming in. I don't know the way he thinks. I think he's going to get to do whatever he probably wants to do, especially in the honeymoon phase of this GM job with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the bottom line is, I don't think they're going to be the ones spending on a bunch of this. This goes back to our wide receiver conversation. Did they actually, the Christian Kirk move, at the very root of it, did they just get cheaper at the wide receiver position? Because they actually had spent a lot. Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk. That's who they had spent on over these last however many years. That's a lot of money in free agency dollars. Then they go get the best guy of all of them by drafting him on a rookie deal at number 23 overall. So they're like, we have too many resources in terms of dollars put in our wide receiver unit. And I think you could make that argument. We have in the past. This is a pivot to say, okay, we want to allocate X amount of dollars to our offensive line, allocate X amount of dollars to our wide receiver room. Teams do that. And I think this is simple number crunching, maybe at the root of it all for Christian Kirk to be like, listen, he puts us over the allotted amount, and it makes the most sense to move on from his deal to get to where we want to be in our pie chart necessarily of how much we are going to spend. So it'll be really interesting to see what that pie chart looks like after free agency, Austin, how much they're spending on the D-line versus the linebackers versus the secondary versus the receivers, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, and I agree with that, right? And I think a lot of people sometimes they get in the mindset of wanting to play Madden, where it's like, well, let's just go spend all our money, get these big players in, let's change it all around, and we're going to be a great team in 1 year. And that's just, you can't sustain that, to echo what you were just saying, right? Maybe you can win a Super Bowl like the Rams did, but even the Rams had to pivot eventually, right? And even the Rams had to come back down to reality and say, we can't keep bringing in these free agents every single year and giving away all our first round draft picks, because that's not how you have sustained success. You might have a short window, but you can't have sustained success. I've been very adamant about this, and I think Gladstone lines up with my philosophy, and it's not necessarily like I'm breaking any news or anything, because it's how you go about winning in the National Football League, right? You have to hit your layups, and those are your first round picks. Those can't even be up for debate, right? If you miss on too many first round picks, you won't be in the league that long. Simple as that. But if you want to be one of those special teams, and you want to be one of those teams that are contending for Super Bowls and going on playoff runs and being at the top of the division year in and year out, yes, you got to hit your layups, but you got to hit on those third, fourth, and fifth round picks as well. And that's the difference. And that's what Gladstone, I believe, is going to be brought here to do. Every once in a while, yeah, go ahead and sprinkle a free agent here or there. That'll be great. That's going to help you win games as well. I mean, look no further than the Eagles this year. They sprinkled on Saquon Barkley. They sprinkled on Zach Bond. How did that work out for them? Well, those guys just got some more money because it worked out pretty well for them. So you have to find that balance. But to build that foundation, to open that window for years and years to come, it's about hitting on those second, third, and fourth round, and even fifth round draft picks.
Hey, more on Jay. It's not my damn money, so I don't really give a crap if they spend it or not. But the bottom line is, over the last 10 or 12 years, when they've spent money, they've won 3 different times of winning seasons, 2 different times playoffs and division titles. So really 2 out of 10, 11, 12, you do the math on that, pal, and it's not very good. So if you want to sustain it, you probably got to do better.
Whenever that
Who the hell's Jay?
I don't know, but whenever you call somebody
What is
pal,
happening? Yeah, what is happening right now?
Well, no, just
Was getting behind and justifying being cheap despite.
Meanwhile, Hamby's burner says Gladstone said he's a build it up, not break it down kind of guy. But what does that actually mean? I think that meant when he said that, I think that was in our live interview we had with him last week at the Combine, that was when a question of the contractually obligated guys, that he wasn't just going to shed the roster just for change's sake, especially because that's what people do when they come into a new place. They're like, I want my own guys. Well, he wasn't going to do that, which of course would also mean dead money and everything else that you get a part of it. So how do you build it up is the question, right? Well, you build it up through draft capital. So that goes back. What if both of these guys said, why are Liam Cohen and James Gladstone here in Jacksonville? In part because of the draft capital that they have, the situation the Jags are in. Yeah, they've got Trevor Lawrence. They've got an owner they feel like they're going to get what they want. They've got autonomy over the situation, all those different things that we talk about all the time. They actually have a decent roster here to work with, but you also heard 20 draft picks, 20 draft picks, 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. The reason why you hear that is because you can build it, you can manipulate it, you can use that to go get the people that you want to get in. I think that's the build it up part of this Hamby's burner, that is, instead of the break it down, because the break it down model was 2013. When Dave called one, they came in and were like, nope, we're just going to rip it, right? I don't think when you get rid of Brandon Sheriff because the contract runs out, Christian Kirk in this move, and also Mitch Morse retires, this is necessarily ripping it down, right, or breaking it down. I think those are just natural things that happen to every roster and roster turnover on a yearly basis. But this is not going to be a 2013 breakdown. This is going to be build it up from what we already have, which, by the way, the studs, if you will, of this franchise are really their cornerstone guys, the Josh Hines Allen, the Trayvon Walkers, hopefully a Tyson Campbell, the Trevor Lawrences, and the Brian Thomas Jr.'s. It's build it up around that. So if you're wondering what that actually means, I think that's what it means. I think the draft capital is paramount here right now over the next 2 seasons. How they manipulate that, do they gather more? And, of course, how do they cash in on it with the picks that they make?
I don't want to raise, the panic button or anything here, even though we talked about it earlier today. But talking about this whole Gladstone thing and what it means and what he's getting at and everything. I just want to bring this to the table, not trying to speak anything into existence because I think it would be stupid, but I think it warrants consideration, or at least warrants talking about it, because they did this in LA and we're getting a guy that's coming from LA. So why not talk about this a little bit? Was Gladstone there when Jared Goff got traded?
He would have been there. He's in the organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
They paid Jared Goff, right? And then he got traded after. You know what I'm saying? So Jared Goff had his rookie deal. I'm pretty sure that then he got a new contract, which was, if I'm not mistaken, one of the highest paid contracts in the NFL. And then after that, they ended up trading him, right, to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken.
4-year, $134 million deal with the Rams during the 2019 offseason. So, yeah, and now after this new deal, by the way, Goff is set to make $400 million in his career.
Crazy. Now, do me a favor real quick. And once again, I don't know why that just get a thumbs up. Okay, well, that was weird. Do me a favor. Give me Jared Goff's numbers right before he got traded, if you can. I know I'm asking a lot of you guys right now.
So it was the Rams during the
stream.
2019 offseason would have been so that means it was coming off the 2018 year, I'm assuming. That would be. So let's see if 2018, he had 67 completion percentage. Nope, sorry. 64.9, 4,688 yards, 32 touches, 12 interceptions, 101 rating. So that's when he signed the deal. That would have been after his 3rd year in the NFL. 18 is when they went to the Super Bowl, I'm assuming. So that would have been that Super Bowl season of 32-12. By the way, previously he had 28 touchdowns and 7 picks in 17, which was very good. And then after he signed the deal, he went 22-16 on the touchdown interception ratio, but was throwing for over 4,500 yards in those 2 seasons. That 101 rating was his highest rating in 2018 when he got that deal. Highest rating other than this past year with the Lions.
Okay. Listen, not trying to speak anything to existence. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is your franchise quarterback. And I can't even remember like what the narrative was. Like, yeah, I get you upgraded with Stafford. I'm sure they're excited to get Stafford, and you actually won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. So good on you for doing that. But I would like to think that when you go over those numbers and you go over where Jared Goff was drafted, number 1 overall, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You would think like, hey, this is our franchise guy, so we're going to keep him. Once again, not saying this for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm speaking on it because, well, this is what the Rams did. Like, this is how the Rams won a Super Bowl. It was maybe, these crazy moves. So when we're trying to justify what Gladstone's bringing to the table, and once again, I'm not saying anything with Trevor Lawrence, but I'm just going over all the moves, whether it's, a bunch of free agents trading away your first round draft picks, or it's letting go of your franchise quarterback for maybe an upgrade. Those are the type of moves that won the Rams the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's interesting. What they've really done it all in LA. So you take all these different experiences, right?
This is what I'm trying to say.
It's like, which path is he going to pick? Like, you can, and how different will this be? And what I think about with these guys is, what will they do that we haven't seen? Will they be? There's potential here because of at least the talk around Gladstone specifically, that he's got a different kind of view on things. Well, what does that look? How outside the box is that? How abnormal is that? How trendy could that become if it works here in Jacksonville? So could we get something that even the Rams, although it looks like they've tried just about everything, haven't even tried? Is going to be something to watch. And I'm not saying that's this year, by the way. That could come down the road when he gets all his processes in place and people in place the way he wants to do it.
And that was my only point of bringing up the whole Jared Goff thing, Brent, is like, listen, you have a GM that's coming from a place that they've done anything and everything. And yeah, they've had a lot of success. But if you look at it, there really is no blueprint. Like, we can sit here and say, well, they did everything. They even sold their franchise quarterback down the river for maybe an upgrade, and they won a Super Bowl because of it. So there's really no rhyme or reason when we sit here and try to break down what Gladstone is saying of, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. I'll be honest, man. I love the game of football and I follow it very closely and I like to speak on it. I don't know what it all means when he speaks. I don't know what it means when he says we're going to do this, because all I have to go off of is a resume in LA where you did it up, down, sideways, angle it. Doesn't matter. You had success, but you did it a bunch of different ways.
Well, here's what I would say. I feel like the norm is not safe. So if you think a certain way, right? Hey, this is the way it gets done in the NFL, which, by the way, is the way it gets done in the NFL. Like, I mean, we've got 17 years of experience around here doing it in Jacksonville up close, and, well, this is the way it goes, and you get used to that. I don't think the norm is safe, which obviously makes a lot of people not safe in many respects. Now, to your Trevor and quarterback point, while anything could be on the table, I still think they're here because of Trevor Lawrence. Now, does that change at some point? At one time, the Rams were there because of Jared Goff, right? I mean, that's your point. So
Sean McVay was there because of Jared Goff. And guess what? You went to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff as a young quarterback. So my only point is that let's just wait and see what happens, because when you talk about that Rams organization and where Gladstone's coming from, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, right? Like, I like to think that Rams fan base, Brent, at least felt like with Jared Goff how we feel about Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence got traded tomorrow, we would be in shock. We would see no rhyme. Like, dude, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what this whole city would do. Well, just think, they may have did that in LA with Jared Goff and how people felt about that. Not saying it's going to happen, not going to wish it to happen. My only point to this whole thing is that we don't know what's going to happen with Gladstone. We don't know what the plan is. He can come out here and say a certain amount of like these things and use this verbiage, and we can try to break it down like we do, because that's part of the show. But until we see it for ourselves, we have no idea where this is going.
Yeah, Dana Griffith says, I'm curious if Gladstone would be more open to trading up on day 2, 3. Jags have 20 picks. That's a lot of ammo to go get guys you like. Now, one thing about that, and I'll caution this, it wasn't like Balky was unwilling to do that. There were multiple drafts where he tried to move up and he couldn't, or at least that's what he told us. And it seemed like that was what their intent was, to try to go, because they had so many picks. Remember, it was a couple years ago, they had like 13 draft picks. Like, what the hell are you doing with all those draft picks? I hate it. I hate that many draft picks. So, yeah, I think you use that capital to move in. I just hate it. I'm like the opposite of a GM. Like, I do not want the damn draft picks. I'm so tired of draft picks.
Brent's trying to go cover the Rams. Like, let's get a bunch of free agents, no draft picks.
I also think silly spending is ridiculous. That's not the way to build, so I get it. But can we just be normal? I don't need 13 draft picks in a cycle. Like, that ain't helping. That's just like, it's like me. I try to play Powerball all the time. I haven't won. I don't even win like the Powerball part where you get like $2. Make it back. Like, that's what it is. Bulky had 13 of them, and we're still trying to figure out if he got any of them right.
Brent, listen, man, I agree with you, but just imagine when you get 13 draft picks, whatever the case may be, do you know how lit the preseason's going to be, man, when that happens? Oh, I'm putting my hey. Hopefully you guys can see that. I think I froze a little. Maybe I froze the screen because
this actually is better.
Our screen can't even handle some fireworks, man, for 13 draft picks in that preseason game. But whatever.
Yeah, you got it. You look like you're at you're looking at a Doors concert right now.
Yeah, there we go.
Hamby's Bird says, so with that logic, Brent, we should what? What did I just say? Remind me of what I just said.
We're freezing. We don't know what's going on.
Hey, the one thing I did want to say about what Austen said with the whole golf thing is there was Matthew Stafford waiting. There was Matthew Stafford as a possibility. Okay, that doesn't walk in all the time. Like, that's different. I mean, you had Matthew Stafford with still good years ahead, not an Aaron Rodgers at 42 or 41 or 40. So, like, the situation that the Rams did take advantage of was going to get a known commodity who's a very good player in the National Football League and put him in a better situation. You know what I mean? Like, how many times is that going to happen? The only other time I can really remember it happening so like in your face was that Denver and John Elway went and got Manning to say, okay, Tebow, that was great. It was a fun little ride, but we're moving on to Peyton Manning. It's not like we're moving on at that time to like Brock Osweiler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this then. Is there any comparison right now to a Matthew Stafford type of player before he went to the Rams in the NFL? A really talented quarterback, but on a team that doesn't get a lot of love? I mean, I'm just shooting it out there. I have no idea. I can't think of one, maybe, but.
Yeah, I don't think we're in that at all. Like, to have the resume that Stafford had at that time was remarkable. Sure. I mean, he's like a Hall of Fame numbers guy as he's going to the Rams. And then he obviously gets put on a really good team in a different environment to be able to win. And all this has worked out for everybody handsomely, so that's fine.
Let me ask you this.
You don't have that just doesn't happen. We did have a quarterbacks moving. Russell Wilson felt like, could you have that a little bit in Denver? Turns out it wasn't, right?
I might have one for you. Dak Prescott.
Prescott could, that's probably your best one. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
So then let's put ourselves in a scenario. And once again, not trying to speak this into existence, was just trying to prove the point. If the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow traded Trevor Lawrence away and whatever it was, a couple first-round picks for Dak Prescott, we would riot. We would be up in arms.
We would.
In a heartbeat. They did it.
We would. I would say this. Here's one other thing about this. I don't even think Dak Prescott's even close. Well, he may be close, but he's not in the same realm as Stafford in terms of where Stafford still was in Detroit as a quarterback in the National Football League, kind of the pantheon of quarterbacks. I think Prescott has a nice career going for him. I don't think he's as accomplished as Stafford or as talented as Stafford. Stafford's always been known as one of the great talents in the National Football League, arm talent-wise, everything else. Okay. So I do think it's a little bit different. The other thing about this is Trevor.
Might be comparable, Brent. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
They might be. No, I think your example is a good one, but I'm going to just tell you I think where the differences are. The other one is Trevor Lawrence is viewed as a much higher ceiling guy than even Jared Goff when he was coming out.
But Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl.
Okay, well, that's the third part about this is you've got to let it play out to the point they've got to see what they've got, and would they do it if Trevor Lawrence scored 3 points in the Super Bowl? I'd like to take that option first so he gets to one to then do it instead of like sight unseen. So my problem with your comp is this. it wouldn't be like this year that you would get that. It would be more like a year or two down the road after they're like, we've seen this. We feel like he's hit his ceiling. We're not sure we're going to be able to get more. And then, Dak, by the way, is available. Now let's try to do it. Like, I wouldn't say it was for this scenario here. I think they've got to try this out first because McVay was with Goff for a couple of years. So he kind of knew what he had. He knew what it was. And he thought, okay, we can do better because Stafford will fit us better. And I think we've reached the ceiling with Goff. Now, turns out he was kind of wrong about that. But it worked out in his favor because of Stafford.
Because what are the Rams right now if Jared Goff is still in LA? And by the way, they have a couple more first-round draft picks.
I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know how much scenery. I don't know how much scenery and scheme and everything plays a role in it. Some of the skill sets, like the way it's worked out for Goff. It's just amazing, really.
Listen,
because some of the things that negative you would say about him, like, can he get it done under center, right? Or does he have to be looking over to the sideline to be able to get coached up and given the play like this is high school or college? Like, there was some of that going on with McVay and the Rams where, like, Ben Johnson and everybody else figured it out a different way. And now this guy can do everything at this point of his career. So it's weird. It's hard to duplicate that situation. I like your comp there. I just think we first got to see what these guys do with Trevor to actually get to that stage where you'd be like, okay, now it's a little bit more like that one.
Yeah, and listen, I didn't like talking about it, to tell you the truth, but like I thought it was a decent example to compare it.
It's a good example.
But I'll say this much: I think we can all agree on, regardless of who we want to compare to Matthew Stafford, because to prove your point, like arm strength, underrated, played in Detroit forever, so we kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit. But I think we can all agree that if Trevor was to go to Dallas, he would have great success probably with a guy like CeeDee Lamb, a great offensive line, and we would probably see him a la Jared Goff like we see in Detroit right now, making some long playoff runs.
Yeah, I think that's good. Here's the deal. Here's what I just tweeted out when you brought this up. And I think this is the
Austen Lane's got Trevor Lawrence.
No, I didn't hang out to dry that much on the whole Trevor thing. Like, I wasn't doing that because I know where you're coming from. What you're really getting to here is, should we expect the unexpected with James Gladstone? And that's really what we're getting to. And should we? And I think, a little bit. Now, listen, the Kirk move's not unexpected. It's not stunning. I still think it's a little level of surprise, but it's not unexpected. What else is going to happen that is unexpected? Not just now, here over the next couple of weeks. And I really don't think this is the time. I think this is going to be a little more stand pat because he just got in the building. But by next year, when he starts putting his stuff in place and his people in place, that's when the unexpected stuff really probably starts to fire up, potentially. I'm not saying that. I don't know how far outside the box the guy is. But if he is, I think we're going to see some different stuff, and it might come to the same path that you're talking about. It's like, holy cow, they just did what? What are they doing?
If we talk about unexpected this year, and let's go ahead and bring this conversation full circle from the start of the show, it'll be Evan Ingram. That will be the unexpected thing to me. Yeah, it's not going to come close to being like Jared Goff getting traded, but from what the Jaguars fans view in terms of what Evan Ingram means to the team, if he was to be let go, that to me is the unexpected move that nobody would see coming. And I'll give it one of these right here if this works. Yeah, kind of.
Thought bubble, yeah, I got it. Hamby's burner, Michael Scott's burner is in the messages right now. We got to take a break. We got to burn to a break. How about that? Here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. How about this? The Atlantic Beach Classic Epson Tour. Women's golf being played at Atlantic Beach Country Club right now, presented by Access Golf, who, by the way, is a big supporter of our Dream 18 golf tournament and also our Dream 18 golf cards available at actionsportsjaxdream18.com. But a windy day out there at Atlantic Beach. Fun track to play, and it's going on today, tomorrow, and Saturday as well. Some of the action, we've got some locals in there, and we'll have that for you tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade. I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $500 on a Connecticut Premier Softener and get a free Connect Salt Monitor with purchase. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with we are martyr rolling off our tongues. Never will we roam, for we know our place is home. Where the ocean meets the skies, we be sailing. Where the ocean meets the skies, we be sailing.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, how about a triple overtime Final Four game? Look at that shot. Nice shot. Ponte Vedra able to win the game. No points were scored in the first overtime.
Not one?
Not one. And then Ponte Vedra comes up with some big shots. And, well, here's the deal. Like the other team, Leesburg, they were basically sitting on the ball because there's no shot clock, stupidest thing ever, no shot clock in high school basketball. And they were only 4-minute session. So, like, there were minimal possessions. So that's how you got to no points. But, man, what a great win for Ponte Vedra. They win in triple overtime. They'll play Friday night at 7 o'clock for a chance at a state championship. And apologies to the Ponte Vedra folks, because we showed this in the early show yesterday. I was live at UNF softball, and I totally forgot to bring it over to the sportscast last night as we're after the sportscast, I was like, I totally forgot to put Ponte Vedra in late at night, like the 10 and 11 o'clock show. I was pissed off at myself. I couldn't believe it. So apologies, PV folks. And they're probably still down there anyway, just enjoying the success. A good steak dinner after or something like that. Now they'll play tomorrow night for the state championship, so good for them. What do we have? We have Turquoise Creek playing today in the state Final Four as well. So good luck to all our teams as they finish it up. I think this is it. A couple weeks. It's really weird for like Ponte Vedra, Ribault, and Turquoise Creek. They actually haven't played. They won the regional finals like almost 2 weeks ago. And then there was a gap. I think that's a really hard thing to do when you're like on a run and then you have this huge gap. We talk about it all the time in professional sports, right? Baseball or something, you got to go sit 5 days and wait out that first series or even the bye weeks. Now, Kansas City has seemed to figure it out fine. The Patriots figured it out fine over the years. But I do think those bye weeks are tricky because you lose some momentum.
I'll tell you what, man, if Ponte Vedra wins the whole thing, enjoy that victory celebration at Sawgrass next week.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right?
That's what I would be doing, man.
Mr. Pico Boulevard, I wonder the financial difference in cutting Kirk over Davis. It's massive, just to let you know. Huge difference between cutting Kirk and Gabe Davis there. A couple other quick things I want to get to. JU basketball, they play tonight in the A-Sun. Of course, we had the A-Sun announcement yesterday that tournament is coming to Jacksonville. One other clarification on that. They'll play the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals of the men and women downtown at the arena. The early games that week, where all 12 teams in the league will compete next year when this comes to Jacksonville, will be played on campus sites. They're yet to figure out exactly how that's going to work. They'll go at UNF or JU most likely. But they're figuring out how to make that work. That way they don't have the early games in the arena. So not all the games are in the arena, just like the bigger games, if you will, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and, of course, the championship one. But JU plays North Alabama tonight, and obviously 2 wins away from going to the dance. They got to win tonight, and then likely will have to beat Lipscomb on the road as well. So tough task. Lipscomb and North Alabama have been the 2 best teams in the league all year, but JU they play a certain style. They play defense, and that defense travels. So 7 o'clock tonight, let's see if the Dolphins can get the win. And they have experience, much like North Alabama and Lipscomb has. They do have experience. So good luck to the JU Dolphins, Coach Mincy, up there in North Alabama. Florida Gators, really quick thought. We obviously we don't talk about them day in, day out, but we're getting close now. They might have just locked up a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which is significant, Austin, if you can get that path.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely significant, but like at the same time, and this has kind of been the synopsis, I feel like, of the entire NCAA basketball season. It's wide open, man. But yeah, I mean, if you can for some reason, I always feel like the goal is to get to the Final Four, right? The goal is to win a championship. But it always speaks volumes for your program, I feel like, when you get that number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think it puts you on a different echelon, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like it makes you a basketball school. It makes you like, they're like, I don't want to say tradition, but it's almost just like it puts you in a different stratosphere, as opposed to a 2 or 3 seed. Like if you get, one of the 4 number 1 seeds, that speaks volumes for your program.
I said
I think
this
it helps the recruiting as well.
Yeah, well, it could. What I wonder is year to year, do you build any of that momentum anymore anyway? They've obviously pieced together a hell of a team. To be able to duplicate this in today's landscape is going to be very tricky. But you're right, from a recruiting standpoint, it makes, hey, I want to be a part of that. They're going to get so many eyeballs. It's going to help in many different respects. And I say this again, I think what's noteworthy here is since I've been here, which is 2008, which was right after they did their 06 and 07 run, when the Florida Gators would make the tournament or something, you'd be like, well, hopefully they get to the Sweet 16, or Patrick Young's team, who you can listen to 4 to 6 every day right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, on the Young and Norvell show. I mean, those teams were like, yeah, I think they can get to the Elite Eight, Final Four. They were veteran teams, but they weren't also the most talented teams all the time in the country. So you were like, yeah, they can make a run, but it'd be great to get the Elite Eight, or it'd be awesome to get to the Final Four. You're not saying that with this team. All of a sudden, if this team doesn't make the Final Four, I feel like there's major disappointment. That's how good they are. And you're instead saying this team can win the national championship. I think very few teams in the history of the Florida Gators have you said right now before the tournament starts, this team could, and some would say maybe should, which is ridiculous, win the national championship. So that's what separates this for me, at least in my years here in Jacksonville and watching the Gators play hoops. I think Ty asked me this question, so I'm going to ask. I just asked everybody else on social media, and I'll ask you guys right now. And I think these are the teams that he used, so hopefully I'm right. Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston. I'll give you those 4 teams to win the national title. You taking that or the field?
Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston. We're just going to bypass the entire Big Ten.
Who would you even put in there in the Big Ten?
Michigan State.
That's part of the field.
Haven't been watching Michigan State. It's all good.
No, listen, St. John's could be in there. Tennessee could be in there. I bypass them too.
Haven't been watching Tom Izzo. It's all good. I would probably, dude, I got to take the field. It's the NCAA tournament. Anything can happen. Like, it comes down to this. Do you think Florida is like UConn, where it's almost like a guarantee? Because those other schools that you named, like, do I think Houston can win one? I don't. Okay,
They've been knocking.
Maybe.
They've been knocking.
They've been knocking for a long time. So is Gonzaga was knocking for a long time too.
It's true. That's true. But if I had put Gonzaga in 3 years ago in this conversation, you'd probably be like, that would carry some weight. I think Houston kind of carries some Gonzaga kind of weight.
And Auburn, what was the other team? Duke, right?
Duke, yeah.
I'm Wisconsin. I'm taking the field. Shout out to UW0, by the way.
UW0. Hamby, what do you think?
I would take the field as well. It's just that March Madness is you can't bank on the 1 seed.
Guys, here's the deal. It is March Madness. It's crazy in the early rounds and everything. But what usually ends up in the wash is you get 2 or 3 of the 1s or 2s or whatever else still in the Final Four. Most years, you still end up shaking out where you get a lot of chalk to the Final Four. So, and by the way, like Auburn's probably the best team in the country, talent-wise. But Florida is right there. Heck, but the problem here, I think, is less it's the NCAA tournament and more, what about the other teams in the SEC? What about Tennessee? Capable. You said Michigan State. You go St. John's, but those aren't in the SEC, of course. But what about Alabama? Capable. So, like, there are other capable teams in the SEC alone that you could throw in this field mix. Like, it'd be a great bet in Vegas to be able to mix and match, like 4 teams in the field and the odds change. This would be a fun year to do it.
No, for sure. And I'm definitely taking Slosh Skosh, by the way. But by the way, I think it's per capita the drunkest college in the United States.
Oh, really?
I swear. Yeah. But no, Brent, let me ask you this. Do you think those 4, would you take the field? Or you take those 4 teams? Because this is coming from the guy who didn't want to give any of the big teams in the football tournament any kind of flowers and thought, we can see a Boise State. We could see an Arizona State. And how did that shake out for everybody? But all of a sudden now we're playing the sport of basketball and it's like, hey, it's only for the heavy hitters here. It's only for the top 4 teams.
Well, here's the deal, Austin. I think that's a good point, and I usually lean that way. I would usually go the field here too, but I don't really feel like Florida and Auburn necessarily are, like, in my mind, heavy hitters all the time. Duke is. And by the way, Houston in this argument isn't either. Duke is obviously Duke, but it's not like I just gave you Duke, Kentucky, Kansas. You know what I mean? So
Look, I mean, Kansas might not even make it the way they're playing.
Well, I know. But so I don't feel it's as heavy hitter. I think there's a little freshness to this conversation. And I really think those teams are just so good talent-wise. And they can have an off night and still win. That's really the key in the NCAA tournament. Can you have an off night and still win? But there are a lot of good teams this year in the NCAA tournament. It'll be fun. It's going to be fun. Maybe we'll play a game like that. I'm going to take those 4 guys.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part, Brent. You said you're taking the 4 teams you're taking?
I'm going to take the 4, yeah. I'm going to take the 4. All right, get out of here.
Unbelievable.
Are you there tomorrow or here tomorrow or what? You know yet?
I'm probably going to be here for one more day, and I think I'll be heading back to Jacksonville then on Friday.
All right.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
Say hello to everybody. We'll show you some golf on TV tonight. CBS 47, Fox 30 out of Atlantic Beach Country Club. The Epson Tour has hit the Atlantic Beach Classic presented by Access Golf. We'll have that for you a little bit later tonight. Thanks for hanging with us today here on the show. Back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now, the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant. Or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic. He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk. It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you. Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jax Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it. String Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield and now open in Jax Beach on Penman Road.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team. Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
The Tom Bush family of dealerships, they've been serving customers in the Jacksonville area for 55 years. They've been your go-to spot to get and stay on the road since 1970, and that's still the case here in 2025 and beyond, even if the cars have changed just a little bit.
Check out the sleek line of vehicles of the future. That's right, electric vehicles. Tom Bush offers a full lineup of reliable electric cars with state-of-the-art service facilities. Like the new VinFast, Tom Bush is among the first dealers in the entire country to offer the VinFast, and let me tell you, this thing is sweet. The good folks at Tom Bush have all the info on charging, service, tax credits, and everything you need to keep your EV running smoothly. BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mini, and the newly offered VinFast. There's something for everyone at the Tom Bush family of dealerships. Ready to join the Tom Bush family? Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory online at tombush.com.